What was there first? Was it the egg or the chicken? Don't worry, this is not a belated Easter talk. This, of course, is about business. I'm here every Tuesday evening to talk about what I like to call it about ships. So let me get my anchor. So everything about intrapreneurship, entrepreneurship, sidepreneurship, or even friendship. Those are the things that drive me as a business person. My name is Maike, and I'm the co-founder of MaLish. And I picked this topic not only because, Easter was close, but because I stumbled across a really age-old concept when it comes to founding a business or changing your position, adding something to your life or business or not. And this is the question whether you need the egg, meaning the idea first, or whether you need the business or the infrastructure, the plan, the strategy first. Why I decided to talk about this now was because I went into archive of our pictures and going back over how Lily and I started MaLish 3 years ago and what our learnings were from that. Because against what probably most people would call as a sane decision, which is to think about your idea and then twist it, and then if you're safe and if you have maybe the first customers and a really safety cushion, then you think about getting rid of your old stuff, for example, a job. Lily and I did it differently, so it took us what it felt like forever to come up with the idea. Is this good or bad? Yeah, well, that's of course upon everyone to decide. I want to give you my point of view, how Lily and I did it, and also how when we help entrepreneurs and startups to tackle the issue of, just giving an impulse. Because in my view, there is no right or wrong. Of course, it should all goes naturally without saying that anything you should do shouldn't jeopardize your life, your safety, your retirement plans. So that all being said, you have to be super careful. But from my point of view, there's actually not so much right or wrong. So you can look at it from both angles. I'm going to walk you through how we did it. And if you're watching, please also share your comments and your experiences, what you think about it, how you've done it yourself, or how you've seen other people doing it. So as I said, Lily and I, we did not have an exact idea what we were going to do. What we had, what I think was equally important, because, we're not just plain stupid or filthy rich. Of course, we did some calculations when we quit our job. And also, this has to be said, we were not frustrated with our job. So we loved our job. There were some bits and pieces that we said, okay, it needs to be done differently, but we didn't hate our job. There was no burnout. So what were the three things that motivated us? And we said, okay, let's just start without the idea. And this was first and foremost that it was Lily and me together. So we had the same values, the same vision. So we were really close friends and we helped each other through really, really hard times, which we also sometimes share. So that has really created such a bond that we said, okay, what would be the next thing? Like, what could we do together? And instead of, just hanging out together or, partying, going on vacation, wouldn't there be something meaningful that the two of us could do together? And so this is actually how we said, okay, let's do it. The second thing we knew immediately was the company name. Some people struggle, some people involve agencies or ask friends or do surveys, whatever. We knew instantly that it was going to be MaLish. And not because it has Maike and Lily inside, but because MaLish is a saying and an attitude to life derived from the Arabic, which says, learn from the past, live now, form your future. And that super represents like what we stand for. So your past has happened, it's good or bad, no matter, you cannot change it. You need to deal with it and move on. But there are implications from the past, so either something you can copy or something you want to adjust and something you can put in the future. So we take that attitude into companies we consult. And with our experience, we're not dwelling in the past saying what went right or wrong, but we're saying, okay, what can you use? What can you leverage? What can we, with our 2 pairs of eyes, maybe help you do? That is our approach. And of course, we knew kind of the range that we were going to do. So we both, super talkative. We've traveled a lot. We had a lot of customer interaction. So that it was going to be in the vicinity of consulting was fairly clear also from the start. And we also knew some pain points that we had as employees, which we wanted to tackle in our business. But that being said, as I said, we really hadn't found the egg yet. So how I did it, or how I would have thought without actually teaming up with Lily, is to say, of course, you need the idea first. That makes absolutely sense. So coming up with the idea, developing it, taking time to do all of that, that sounds super reasonable. And the only reason why I say, well, maybe it mustn't be that way, maybe the way Lily and I did it actually makes sense, is to say, well, what if you never do anything, if you wait for the idea? Because maybe you don't have an idea, maybe you don't think you're smart enough, you're not creative enough, or you come up with an idea and you think, oh, well, if that was so unique, like, someone would have already done it. So someone smarter must have thought about it and realized it's not a good idea. Because like for me, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I have super cool examples in my family of how you can start your own business and how it can be super cool, super fun, super rewarding, and also from a monetary point of view. But I lacked the super idea, like I was not really creative and inventive. So I never did anything with, let's say, the entrepreneurial spirit that lay within me. So considering that, I'd say, well, maybe look at it from that angle too. I see the first comment coming in from Lily, so she should be of my opinion, but let's see if that is really true. She says, if you want to start your own business, we can support you to find an idea which fits you. Which is the advertising block, but very, very true. Yeah, this is what we have specialized in. Not only, finding an idea, but also taking it to market, proving it, testing it with the market, with the target audience, with target events, setting up newsletters, installing LinkedIn as a channel, YouTube as a means to stream, and so on and so forth. And like to my view, that is super uncommon. Like when I talked to the person that consulted me when we founded our company, he was like disturbed that we had not a clear idea, or we were thinking broadly into many different ways. And the idea of starting with you as such to define your values, what you want to do, like how you want to act together, like 2 people running a company equally, that's a hard job. You also need to first find the roles and how to interact with one another. And then also, of course, marketing and branding, getting out there, getting expertise in a new field. Like LinkedIn was fairly new when we started. It took us like half a year into when we realized, okay, there's something going on with LinkedIn. We really must specialize and become the experts on it. But this is something we would have never done. So like so much percentage of our business now is derived from LinkedIn consulting and advertising on LinkedIn. But I would have never quit my job or even thought about quitting because I would have never come up with the idea of doing something with LinkedIn other than checking it once a month and hoping no headhunter would dare to contact me and offer me, a job where I would then ultimately make a decision whether to go for the interview or not. So this was my attitude. And considering all of that, I'm saying, well, twist it around. And if you're thinking of twisting it around, So you have a job, you're thinking of a side business. You have a job and you don't care about a side business, but still you might want to shift somewhere new, somewhere you've never been before. You've already found it some years ago or just recently, and you think, well, there must be something going more my way than how it is currently. I can recommend the following. Look for a new environment, an environment that supports your idea. So if let's say you say, okay, well, I want to do something with it. You go to your first networking event, whether that is in person or online via Zoom. You go to that networking event and you realize people are now, they're connecting via LinkedIn. Oh, okay, so you also start using LinkedIn. Then you get introduced to a person who does whatever. And this is how you get immersed in this environment. You start also shifting your way of thinking, maybe even start looking into yourself, developing you further. And this is something super cool and super necessary. It's not woo-woo or superficial. It's actually something really good. If you want to go somewhere differently, you have to apply different tools and methodologies. And then, of course, you need to be brave. So either get a really close environment and get them on board. Or I was super scared. But as soon as I teamed up with Lily, I wasn't scared at all of nothing. So independently, whether we drove to Amsterdam for our first event, we spoke on stages in New York in front of all those many people and all those great speakers who'd done it for decades, and people, waiting to shoot us once we come off the stage. All those fears dropped once I had someone in my team. Maybe you're not fortunate enough to have someone like Lily and myself. Good news is we can be your sparring partner for time. So if you say, well, you need someone to run your ideas by, that is also something you can consult with us. And then, say yes, do it. So whenever you're doubting and you're in trouble, and maybe this goes not as far as quitting your job as of tomorrow, but saying yes to different environments, to actually, just looking at things differently. And the way to do this is certainly changing the environment, but then also making a commitment. And I truly believe we've mastered it ourselves. And I would have wished that someone had have told me 3 years ago, there is so much value in time management, really good, proper time management. You can nearly do anything. So even if you don't have an idea, you can work on your business while still keeping your old things. And now with what I know, with the tools and techniques I have, with the time management skills I have, we even published a book about time management, I would now still do the same thing, but I wouldn't necessarily quit my job immediately. I would probably say, okay, well, let's use the tools, implement strategies and tools, and then the idea will come sooner or later. But yet again, who can tell such a great story of, 3 weeks into the idea, you quit your job and 4 months later you're out of the job. That's just a super cool story also to tell. And once you're lucky and you manage that, there's also so much reward in it. So independently of what you're doing, I hope you take so much out of this talk, about this inspiration, about whether you need an egg or the hen first, or whether maybe it doesn't matter, whatever. I hope you take some cool inspiration and tips out of it. This is live, but it's an evergreen content, so feel free to also interact with the content later on. Let me know what you think, and either personally DM me or just write it under the different chats. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to be back next Tuesday. I can promise you this. It's not going to be the egg, but it's definitely going to be entrepreneurship.